Good morning, children. Hope you are all happy and healthy. You may have heard that the finest pearls are formed when the oyster faces the hardest conditions under the sea. Now, we are all facing a hard situation, but be optimistic and take every day as a chance to become a better person. With that note, let us move on to the next lesson from the textbook First Light. It's a simple and humorous story about a highly optimistic person. Name of the lesson is A Letter to God by G.L. Fuentes. From the title itself, you can guess what is the story all about. But before moving on to the story, let's be familiarized with the author. Gregorio Lopez Fuentes. He was actually a Mexican writer, poet, and journalist. He started writing at the age of 15 when the Mexican Revolution began. The stories are really exciting, humorous, and symbolic of Mexico. And he was actually known as a realist among the writers. Now let's see what is the story. The main character of the story is Lencho. Lencho was a farmer and his house was the only one in the entire valley and on the top of the hill. And he had a field of ripe corn dotted with flowers. And he was expecting at least a shower before the harvest. And one day, Lencho had been looking at the sky all morning and he told his wife that it was going to rain. Soon, true to his predictions, big drops of rain began to fall. Lencho went outside to enjoy the rain. He felt that it was not rain, but 10 and 5 cent pieces, just like coins are raining. With satisfaction, he watched the rain upon the cornfields. Suddenly, a strong wind began to blow and hailstones started falling. And he was worried. He hoped rain would stop soon, otherwise, the crops would be destroyed. But the rain did not stop. It covered the house, the valley, and the field with a layer of white snow. The harvest was completely destroyed, and Lencho stood in the middle of the ruined field and thought that a plague of locusts would have been better than this. Locust is a kind of insects which affects the field. It was sad night for his family. But he had great faith in God. So he decided to seek help from God because he always believed that God is all seeing and would help him. So he wrote the letter asking 100 pesos so that he can sow the field once again and also can survive until the next year. And he went to the post office and posted the letter. And the postman got the letter from the post box and he was surprised to see a letter addressed to God. And he couldn't stop laughing, so he went to the postmaster and gave the letter to the postmaster. The postmaster, who was a fat and amiable fellow, and when he saw this letter, he was actually surprised. And he opened the letter and read it. And after reading the letter, he felt a kind of admiration towards Lencho, because only such an innocent heart can write a letter to God demanding money from him or seeking help from him. So he decided to help Lencho because he thought that the faith of that person should not be ruined. He collected money from his friends and he himself gave a part of his salary. But even then, he could only collect more than half of the required money. He put all the money in an envelope, addressed it to Lencho, and wrote God under it. because he felt that Lenjo would be happy to receive a letter from God. The following Sunday, Lenjo came to the post office asking if there was any letter for him. When the postman gave the letter to Lenjo, postmaster was standing there and observing Lenjo. But Lenjo was least surprised. He was not at all surprised because he was very confident that God will help him. But after counting the money, Lenjo became angry. He went to the postman, asked for ink and paper, and he started writing a letter from the writing table, and he wrote another letter to God. And when he dropped the letter into the mailbox, the postmaster very eagerly went and took the letter. When he read the letter, he was surprised because in that letter, Lenjo has written like this: God, of the money that I asked for, only 70 pesos reached me. Send me the rest since I need it very much. But don't send it through this mail because post office employees are a bunch of crooks. And he has signed the letter as Lenjo. So here from the story, actually the story teaches us three things, three messages. One is the story shows Lenjo's firm faith in God. His faith is rewarded through the employees of the post office. And his utter innocence, because only such an innocent hearted person can think about writing a letter to God and seeking help, to seek help from him. And the third thing is that sometimes even your generosity is not recognized, because the postmaster, such a nice person, and he thought about helping Lenjo instead of merely mocking at the letter. He collected money. He even gave a part of his salary to make that amount, and he had a thought that the man should not be desperate after sending a letter to God. But even then, his generosity and kindness was not at all appreciated by Lenjo. Even though Lenjo doesn't know that it is postmaster who sent the money, he made simply blamed the post office employees for that missing 30 pesos, and he even called them a bunch of crooks. So this happens in our life also. Sometimes we may not get the credit of our generosity and kindness. Now, what you have to do is you have to read the text very carefully, and then I have set 5 questions for you. You have to answer these questions in your notebook. And I hope the explanation is